I have to tell you, Mr. President, that I'm asking myself, well, if it is so useful, this European Council tomorrow, European Council of 2 hours. Maybe they can do a teleconference. It should be maybe better and easier to do that than to come all together for a 2-hour meeting at the same time as the plenary session in the European Parliament. And we have to make a protest against this, that again the European Council chairman is doing this council meeting at the same moment as the plenary session of the European Parliament. Secondly, what we need, I think, is more than words. What we need is action. And my proposal is maybe they can cancel the European Council of tomorrow and to hold a real ECOFIN meeting of the Ministers of Finance, so that they can decide on concrete legislation on a blacklist of tax havens in Europe, concrete legislation on a corporate common tax base, what we still not have in Europe, and concrete legislation on tax evasion. Because let's be honest, the conclusions of tomorrow, we have taken them already 2 times in the European Council. In 2010 in the European Council and in 2011 in the European Council. We repeat them every time. So better than, again, conclusions, I think that there are other things to tackle by the ECOFIN and the Ministers of Finance in a concrete way. And maybe if they have to talk about other issues, maybe they can talk a little bit about, in the European Council, about the growing Euroscepticism in Europe, because that has to be a concern for all Europeans and for this European Parliament. Because, let's be clear, there is in one aspect we have to recognise that the Eurosceptics are right. That is that the European leaders have managed this crisis in a bad way, in a terrible way. And that is the problem. But where the Eurosceptics are wrong, and that should be the answer of the European Council, is in their conclusions, in their solutions, colleagues. Because it's not by going back to the nation state and by dismantling the European Union that we shall regain competitiveness in Europe. And it's not by claiming that everything was better in the good old days that we will provide jobs for our young people in the coming months and years. And it's certainly not by closing the doors of the single market that our economy shall grow. Well, I think that the British business leaders yesterday had it completely right. They said very loud and clear, Mr. Callanan, to you and to the others, it will be an economic disaster to leave the European Union. And it's not this Parliament who is saying that, all these pro-Europeans that you don't like, it are your own business leaders who are saying that you are nuts to even try to go out of the European Union for these economic reasons. And it's not only a question even of economics. I think it's also a question of sovereignty. What do we want in this European Union? That is the question for tomorrow in the European Council. To shape together the world we live in, or to do like Mr. Farage, every time when I see him on television, he is in a pub commenting the outside world and saying, oh, the old days were better than today. Every time in a pub. I don't know what you're doing in the pub there all the time, but anyway. So that's the key question for tomorrow, President. Relevance with the European Union or irrelevance outside?
Vielen Dank.